Well, good evening, Devonport Camera Club. You lovely guys. I wish I was with you. I always say that, but I always think it. Thank you again for giving me a fabulous selection of pictures to look at. When the email came through with link to the judges folder, when I opened it up, I thought, they've done it again. These guys are great. So you're doing some great photography, guys. I hope you're having a fabulous evening. And as I always say, I wish I was with you. But let's look at your pictures. Let's talk about these pictures of yours. And let's start with the first image. Welcome home. Kind of got a spooky feeling about this one that I thought, I feel as if I've been here. It's got that lovely sort of feeling to it. And I really like this picture. And I particularly like the structure of the picture. The lightest area is the door, but the whole thing, the little white fence, what we call a letterbox over here, I'm not quite sure what you call it, but the whole thing works really nicely. And I just wish that this was my home and I was going back to it. A great start. The next image, Snug Falls. When I was in Tassie some time ago, I had the pleasure of visiting some of your waterfalls, and they are magnificent, beautiful. And here, I think you've done very well. You've taken quite a bold decision. You've put the waterfall over to the left of the image and included some foreground. And I think it's worked very nicely. You've controlled it very well with your choice of shutter speed, giving this lovely feeling of flowing of the water down. So, a great image. We now go to the next picture, Pick Me Up. Oh, this is such a great picture. Now, there's someone here, the photographer, not only is a highly skilled photographer, a highly skilled natural history photographer, but knows field craft and has put all these elements together to create this charming and appealing photograph of the mother bird feeding the little babies, and their expressions with all the little open mouths waiting while she feeds one is just beautiful. And I would say that the colour of the picture is great of the birds, and of course the out of focosity, expression I like to use, of the background is beautiful and just sort of pinpoints and brings out the dear little birds. A great image. Now, for something totally different, the roses. Still life's lives are a challenge because you've got everything under your control. So there are no excuses. And there are no excuses needed for this picture because it's beautiful. And there's loads of things I like about it. I particularly like the dark background, which makes the colours pop out. And, it's the sort of thing that you could be photographing and you think, oh, a petal's dropped down, bother. But the petals that have from the roses that have dropped to the base of the picture, I think just make it. And I think this is a really, really nice piece of work. I love it. Now, another kind of natural history flower picture. Totally different, but this time taken in situation of the Christmas lilies. Beautiful. Aren't they beautiful flowers? The whiteness of the lilies is beautiful. They stand out so strongly against the background. I might have possibly just moved back a little touch just to not cut off the bottom of the blooms, but nevertheless, it's a lovely image. Next, we go to the rhinoceros iguana. Slightly scary. Not quite sure how big this iguana is. Sort of thing one might see on the dreaded show over here that we have to endure, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is supposedly in the middle of the Australian bush, but some people say it's in the grounds of a hotel. I don't know. The contestants are subject to all sorts of trials and they're sort of bombarded with insects and snakes and things like this iguana. But a beautiful piece of work. And how Mother Nature works to make the camouflage of this iguana almost perfect against the rock. And it's beautiful how it all blends in together. And you photographed it very, very well. It's great, this selection of pictures, because there's so many contrasts. Now, the next, what a powerful, powerful portrait. Contemplating. One wonders what this guy is thinking. Well, we have an expression over here, penny for your thoughts. I'd love to know what he's thinking. But what a strong face. It's taken in sort of shadow, but I think it works incredibly well. Again, the control by the photographer. I don't know, I talk about exposure and things like that, but it's beautiful because the photographer obviously knows what he or she is doing. And you've got this lovely sort of the white hair, the moustache, and those eyes, those sort of slightly drooping eyes. Very expressive. I so wonder what he's thinking. But it's a very, very strong close-up portrait. Not easy to do. And I think it shows a great rapport between the photographer and the subject. I was very excited about the next image, Waiting for a Rider. Oh, I thought this is a great picture. What a great idea. And what I particularly like is the focus on this electric, I think it's an electric scooter. We've got them over here and people zoom up and down the pavements with these things and, you've got to watch out. But this is parked, waiting for the rider to come back. And then you've got the contrast of the moving vehicles behind. And I think this is a great picture. It's a great idea. And I think it's worked really, really well. You've got a slight, what should we say, a colour clash between the scooter and the vehicle going along behind. If, it was possible to get the vehicle coming along behind to be like a neutral colour, like a silver, then perhaps the colour of the scooter would have popped out a little bit more. But that's, you're thinking, well, that's nitpicking. The main thing is this is a fabulous image and it's a great idea. And I would suggest you carry on using this sort of as a prototype for lots of pictures. I think it's a great shot. And I found this really exciting. Now, again, a complete contrast in image. Fungi light. Well, it just shows, doesn't it, that we don't need tremendous bright light. And these fungi, again, the photographer here has got, a great knowledge of sort of natural history work. The composition of these fungi, the shape of this picture is beautiful. But the lighting on these fungi, they just kind of seem to glow. And it's a wonderful image. And the only sort of colour is in the tops. This sort of purpley colour. Beautifully done. And I reckon, you took a lot of time and effort into this, and I think it's worked magnificently. Well, the next picture I looked at, and it was just wow. The wow factor. An amazing image. What have we got here? We've got one of the world's foremost and most loved and famous sites. A sacred place, Uluru. And we've got most incredible things going on. Tremendous lighting. And the Milky Way just above it. The Milky Way, it's just, when I saw this, I thought this is absolutely sensational. The whole picture, the darkness of the foreground makes the sky just light up, and the redness of the light, the evening light on Uluru, or it could be sunset, sunrise, I'm not sure. It's just magnificent. The only thing is, I wish I'd been there to see this. What an experience it must have been. What an experience seeing that. It's absolutely magnificent. Now we move to Fred's house. Again, something completely different. And I do like this. It's really a kind of exercise in texture, isn't it? I'm not sure if Fred is in residence, but there don't seem to be many mirrors on it, many windows in the house. But it's very interesting. And I guess this is the back of possibly what we call the fireplace. There's a smokestack going up there, I would imagine. And I think it's just kind of an exercise in texture. And it's very interesting because it's very monochromatic, apart from the colours of the brick. If you'd have had a little bit of sun glancing across it, that might have just given it that extra sort of pop. But it's an interesting texture picture. We now move on to Southern Storm. Wow. And that really is stormy lighting, isn't it? You've been by this, I'm not sure whether it's a mountain, snow cover possibly, in extreme weather. And you've created a sensational picture. Very, very powerful. I really like this one. The whole structure of the picture, the dark base, and the clouds at the top are absolutely amazing, absolutely incredible. And the lighting is just absolutely, well, so strong, so powerful. Next, we come to Winter Serenity. And like the previous picture, how often black and white just works so well, doesn't it? It just gives it that extra dimension, that power. And like the previous powerful picture, this is really, really powerful. This water spout standing out incredibly against a strong sky. Excellently photographed. It could have been interesting to crop it as an upright picture. Then you'd have lost that little branch on the top left, but never mind. That's just a little detail. And it's a fine image. We now move to something really surreal and beautifully done. How you've done it, I don't quite know. The pearl in an oyster. I suspect it's not a real oyster or a real pearl. I might be quite wrong, but I think this is a created picture, and wow, whoever created this knows exactly what they're doing to produce a really surreal, beautifully strong image. The use of the colour, just that red of the oyster, and the pearl, which to me almost looks like a moon. As I say, I might be totally wrong, but it's a powerful picture. It's a really, really powerful image, and done by the photographer, created by the photographer, who is an expert at this type of thing. And I wish I could do this sort of thing myself. It's beautiful. Well, now we move on to a whimsically titled, Where's the Chips? Well, a beautiful piece of work. Natural history photography of this beautiful white wading bird. Beautifully lit. The sparkle on the water. The whole monochromatic feel. And the bird, and then in the bird's beak, there's this poor little fish with a slightly surprised look. What a great capture. A great capture. You guys do some great images, and this is one of the strongest ones. Beautiful. Again, like the picture with the birds earlier, the out of focosity of the background is just beautiful. It makes that bird really stand out. But of course, the real thing about this picture is that little fish and the surprised expression on the little fish's face. Beautiful. Now we come to the next image, peekaboo. I'm not exactly sure what this little creature is, but what's so appealing, isn't it? It's just great. And the little expression, and he's just popping up there amidst these blossoms, and you've just caught this perfectly. And I love the out of focus blossoms all round, and that just really sort of like concentrates on the dear little animal and his little eyes. It's a great picture. Now we come to the dock at night. Well, I looked at this and I thought, I wish I'd been there to see this. And the lighting and the control, I'm not sure whether it's Hobart or whether it isn't. But I used to like going around the docks at Hobart, looking at sort of scenes like this at night. And it's just very atmospheric. And the water and the just lighting on the boats is absolutely great. Well, now we next come to sunflower sunset. A subject, sunflowers, irresistible. And they are often photographed, but not often as well as the photographer here has done. And I particularly like this shape of this picture, how you sort of create it into almost panoramic effect. But what I think makes this is the sort of sunset aspect and the yellowness in the sky blending with the yellow sunflowers in the front. It's a beautiful picture. Very, very strong indeed. And we see quite a few sunflower pictures, but not many as good as this one. It's very strong. And last of all, we come to Razorback Ranges. Well, this just kind of speaks to me of Australia, of the wide open spaces, beautiful panoramic vistas, and it's great. Just wish I could be there. And look at those beautiful clouds. Absolutely beautiful. And again, the sort of panoramic is just great. Well, now, guys, you've given me a beautiful selection of pictures. And I do congratulate you again. And it gave me a lot of heartache deciding which one should be my winner. I thought and considered. I wanted to choose the one which I felt was photographically probably the strongest, but also the most memorable. And so I have decided that my winner for this year shall be... Now, what they do on all these quiz shows over here, and I'm sure over in Australia too, in Tasmania, is that there's always a long pause before they announce the winner, and you're thinking, oh, get on with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like on this year to make my winner, and I think it's a most fabulous picture, and it struck me when I saw it on the first run through, kept coming back into my mind, and to me is the most memorable. And I should like to make my winner the Milky Way over Uluru. My great congratulations to the photographer. Absolutely superb work, a superb shot. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a fabulous evening. I'm sure you are. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your photography. And hopefully one day, perhaps, I might even come across to see you. So I congratulate you again on this great selection of images. And for now, it's goodbye for now. And we'll see you again next year. All the very best from me. Bye for now.